Hello, it's Sarah from Hardcover Hearts, and I'm here today with a tagged video. I've been meaning to do something like this, and this one just came up on Sonia's channel. She's at An Enthusiastic Reader, and I'll link to her below. And I thought this would be a great introduction to kind of what the spirit with which I was interested in starting a YouTube channel, and specifically for BookTube. So while I have a ton of tags that I still have to do, so if you've tagged me, apologies. I'm going to try to work through my backlog. But for right now, let's dig into this one. So this one, I have my notes right here. How do you decide what to review on your channel? So for me, if you've watched any of my videos, you see that I read very diversely. Very strange, eclectic mix of books. That's very important to me, and I don't want to lose that. I just was having a conversation with Juan from Just One Reader, and I was asking him if he noticed that his reading style changed when he started BookTube, because all of a sudden I started second guessing myself and thinking about reading for what content I would be able to develop as opposed to just reading because I love to read. And I was really disturbed with my own thinking on that because that's not what I want to do. I really want to be able to read things that are interesting to me and be able to have the conversations that I want to have based on those types of material. And he said that that just read what you want, and the idea of high and low literature is an artificial one. And I agree with him. I think for me, the act of reading itself is still magic. I still love it. And I'm going to make one suggestion. There's a book from Peter Mendelsund called What We See When We Read. And I think it speaks to the science behind the magic of how these lines and squiggles on a page can translate to images and thoughts and ideas in our brains. And so for me, it doesn't matter if it's high literary fiction, prize-worthy, or if it's some pop cultural book that I pick up that I just want to spend some time with. For me, it's all magic, and I like spending time in both realms. And so that's something that I'm going to maintain and try to continue moving forward. So the next question is, let's talk about prep. Are you organized or a seat of the pants type person? For me, I need to be a bit of both. I want this channel to feel authentic. And I think pretty much what you see is what you get. This is kind of how I am normally, and I'll let anybody who knows me personally in real life to chime in below. But I tend to just really love talking about books, and so I want to maintain that authenticity. I don't want to be so scripted that I appear or come off as different than how I am in real life. But at the same time, I need to make sure that I hit the points that I want to make, that have an arc. I know where I'm starting and where I'm ending. So I try to do a mix of both. The third is, what inspired you to start your channel? So I really love the types of conversations that happen on BookTube. I've been watching and lurking and lingering for many years here. And it finally dawned on me that I could join in the conversation and actually have something to contribute from this side of the comment section instead of just typing it in. And so the other thing that I started thinking about was that while I have many good friends that are strong readers and read a lot, very few read at the pace that I read. And I really want to be able to have conversations with people like me who are reading at a voracious capacity and reading similar things, so that I don't annoy the hell out of my friends by shoving a book in their hands and saying, hey, read this now so that I can talk to you about it, because I need someone to talk about it with. And so the fact that people are already gravitating to the types of things that I'm interested in naturally, and we can have those conversations in a very organic way, and they're very similar to me, that's exciting to me. So that's what inspired me. And then next question, number 4, is walk us through your filming session. So my filming session, so the first thing I do is I create my outline. I gather all of my materials. So I have a really big desk right here, and so it's actually my dining table. And so I'll just kind of lay everything out and have it ready to go so I can grab and show things. And then I have, from a technical perspective, I just use my iPhone. The only kind of fancy thing I have is I have a halo light and a tripod. And that's because the light here in this room is, I only have one window, and then kind of really poor lighting depending on what time of day it is. And because I work, I'm not able to always keep a consistent schedule of being able to film at the same intervals with the same light source. So because of that, I figured I would just invest in that. Then I will film the video. I'll do a quick little walkthrough first so that I can make sure that my thoughts are all gathered. And then I'll film. Immediately, I'll take the film and I'll upload it to my computer. And then I'm very lucky I have the Adobe Creative Cloud suite. And so I use a mixture of 3 Adobe products. The first one I use is Rush, and that allows me to do some real quick hacks that get it into an editable form. So I do a quick edit of the beginning and the end, make sure that I've got the right length. Then I do a quick title, some very fast and dirty color correction, and then what else do I do in it? And I think that's that. Oh, and then I also make sure that I frame the shot and bring in the proportions correctly. So I do that, and then I move it in. Once that has synced to the Creative Cloud, then I pull it into Premiere Pro. And Premiere Pro allows me to do a little more fine-tune edits, like popping up. Sometimes I'll put in this section right here, I'll put up the screenshot of the book that I'm talking about, or any corollary materials. And I try to, if it makes sense, I try to take out some of the ums or the blank spaces, but I don't like really choppy videos. And so this has also been a great exercise for me to articulate myself more clearly and succinctly the first time. So with that said, I do that. So I'm really kind of adding in the materials that I've already collected. Then I'll send it over to the third Adobe product, which is Audition. And I do a quick scrub of the audio because there's really bad sound acoustics in this room. And this is really quick, just cleaning up the dialogue, that's it. Because I don't have any microphones or anything like that. Then I upload it back into Premiere Pro, put the final touches in. I do, as I'm editing it, I'll make my notes in just Notepad, and just so that I have that information, so that'll be in the description so that it's thorough, and I can thank everyone I want to thank and draw attention to the kinds of other content that I'm interested in from other booktubers, and that I also list the books, because I know as I've watched back, sometimes I've forgotten to say who the author is, or just nutty things like that. So wanted to make sure that the information is available underneath in the description. Then I'll upload it to YouTube, and that sometimes takes the longest amount of time just because of the queuing and the rendering. And the one thing that I would like to get much better at, so if I'm looking for any tips out there, if any of you know of any products or services that you would recommend, I really would like to do closed captioning on my videos. I think closed captioning is incredibly important. I want to make sure that my videos are available for not just anybody who's hearing impaired. I also am thinking about some of my family members who don't hear as well as they used to, so I want to make sure that that's available for everyone who is hearing impaired, or who just wants to have that extra clarity to the content. So if you have any ideas, tips, or tricks, please let me know about that. Then fifth, what's your favorite kind of BookTube style or staple video? So, like so many people, I just live for the weekly wrap-ups, either Friday reads or however anyone chooses to identify them. I just think those are great. I love hearing people's initial thoughts on why they are picking something, what's appealing to them about that, and then also what their initial thoughts are as they've read it. I think deep dives are really great, but let's be honest, not every single book deserves a deep dive and a full review. So I like to hear like the kind of initial thoughts that people have as they're completing them. And it also gives me a sense of what kind of reader they are. You know, what kind of things do they like? What are they interested in and compelled to grab? So I just love those. And then I also love deep, insightful reviews. I think Olive at A Book Olive does some amazing ones. I always feel like I learned something. I always feel like she shows me another layer. And especially because I don't read a lot of nonfiction, her videos give me so much insight and information. I love it. It's great. Then next is, what would you like to see more of on BookTube? I love... So Sean does these particular ones. Sean and Doris do these particular videos where they do a split screen, and it'll be, it's almost like they're having conversations with each other, or I should say, it's not split screen simultaneous. It's one will be talking and then the other will be talking, and it feels like a conversation. I love those, and I would love to see more of those. I think it's really fantastic to have two different opinions hitting the same material. Because you get a wealth of more richness in that type of video. So I love those. And then I also love Leo, Doris, and they do these great videos where they're out in nature and they're taking walks, and you get a sense of them and what they live in. Oh, Natalie does those too. Like who they are, what is their environment, what is their life like? And I just think it's such a wonderful and very open thing to do. I envy that kind of transparency, but it's just fantastic to get a glimpse into other people's lives, and especially when you spend so much time with them and hearing their thoughts about things that they've read and things that they're interested in. So it's fantastic. So I absolutely would love to see more of those types of things. Next question is, when reading, do you take notes? And if so, how? I will say that I've always taken kinds of notes. So I keep track of, I have a log where I keep track of all of my reading, all of my buying, how long it takes me to read, the publisher. I mean, it is kind of, it's extra. I've been doing that for years. Love that. And I also follow, of course, on Goodreads. I have all of my things there. I don't often review on Bookreads. I stopped doing that when I found out that authors were going there to read the reviews, and that just seemed strange to me. And so I keep that. I tend to keep those to myself. So I do that, and then I also started a few years ago using Evernote, and so that's been phenomenal as I read in my Kindle, using the Kindle app. So not the Kindle itself, but the actual app on my phone. I can highlight something and then I can send it to Evernote. So what will happen is I'll be collecting each of these Evernote things, and then I'll combine them together and put it in a review. And I have a review template that I use. I really wish that Evernote and Kindle would combine and kind of build their APIs and be a little bit more robust in their services, because I think there could be magic there. And also, if any of the other services, Apple did it, because I have a Kobo, a Nook, and I've got all of them, all the e-readers. And for me, it's just such a wonderful way. I've got everything. I've got a method and methodology. But now that I'm reading, I've been reading more physical copies of books. I need to take notes, and so I've invested in all sorts of little doohickeys. These are Post-its, some Post-its, so I can actually take kind of longer notes. little tabs, so just identifiers that allow me to not just do something like this where I've tagged just all sorts of different areas of this book, but then I can also put some more detail and color around why do I think this is important, what would I like to draw back from. And especially as I'm really interested in possibly doing reviews of certain books, I want to be able to highlight certain passages that I'd like to read that I think are particularly descriptive of the narration or the style of the author. So I need to be able to do that a little better. So I've invested a small fortune in stationery now, so I should be set, I think. We'll see. But I love that. I love that process of thinking through and documenting and noting and all of that. It makes me feel like I'm back in school. You can imagine what kind of person I was in school based on that information. Next up is where would you like to see your channel this time next year? So here's the thing, I'm not as concerned about my reach and increasing the numbers. It's always flattering when people choose to subscribe. I mean, I won't lie, it's a wonderful feeling that someone actually cares about your content and doesn't want to miss something. That's delightful. But for me, what's more important is the depth of conversation and the engagement. And so if it would mean that by having a ton of people watch me that I'm losing out in that opportunity to engage, that would be a problem for me. I don't want that. I would be happy to cap where I am if the conversation remains to be rich and interesting and engaging. I'm delighted with where I am now, and I have a full-time job. I have a life that outside of the BookTube community. So this is a beautiful cherry on the sundae. It's not the full shebang. So I'm quite pleased with if it could continue as is. I'm happy. Then the next one, number 9, is what's your best BookTube memory? I will say the most delightful thing that happened was I launched the site, I launched the channel, and I think I posted something on Litsy first, and then I posted on Instagram. And I'd say the same day that I posted on Litsy, Sean the Book Maniac actually tweeted out that I had a channel and gave me some props and boost. All of a sudden I had really interesting people joining the conversation and engaging with my content and subscribing, and it was just such a wonderful, shocking, lovely surprise that I will never forget it. So that's probably my best memory so far, but hoping to make many, many more. And then the last is why BookTube. And I think that this is one of the places where these kinds of interactions, where there's conversations between booktubers, where there's an engagement, there's sharing and readathons and book and reading buddies and all of that kind of thing. I think those are fantastic, and I don't know another place where this happens. And so I'm quite thrilled to be here and be a part of it. All right, that's it. That's all I have. I really wanted this to be shorter, but it is what it is. Thank you for sticking around, and I hope you have a great rest of your day or evening. Bye.